Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight we're going to look into how we can actually make our Kubernetes cluster uh, get access to a Docker image very easily. Um, First of all, let me just make a drawing of how it usually looks. Usually we have this Kubernetes cluster right here. This is my Kubernetes cluster. I'm using DigitalOcean, but of course you can use whichever provider that you want to. And of course you can also set up your local Kubernetes cluster with Minikube or something like that. So this is my K8 cluster right here. Then I am developing some cool Docker images that I'm creating on my machine. So I have some images, Docker images right here, and I'd like to spin up some deployments. I would like to spin up some pods with my Docker image up in my Kubernetes cluster. How do I do that? The easiest way is to have access to a Docker registry, and of course, you can create your own Docker registry and set that up. But I just found out how easy it was to use Jfrog, and I'm not paid by Jfrog or anything like that. I really just like that there was a free option that I signed up to right now. I'm using the free option, and of course, I can see that it is quite expensive when I exceed my 2 gigabytes of storage. But and also if I need to transfer more than 10 gigabyte per month, then I would have to go up to a higher tier, and of course then that's where JFrog makes their money on this deal. Of course, nothing is free. But for my usage, where I'm just making some demo videos and some demo applications, and it's just my own small stuff, then the free tier here is just perfect for me. Because I get some security for free, and also I get these 2 gigabyte storage for free. So how I'm actually using the Docker registry as a kind of a temporary storage. So that means that when I'm sitting on my own machine and I have my Docker image right there, then I want to push it to the registry, and then I have some Helm 3 scripts and some Kubernetes YAML file sometimes that I want to apply up in the cluster right here. And inside that YAML file, .yaml right here, inside the Helm 3 file or inside the Kubernetes YAML file, then it would actually mention some kind of image. So here I would have a Docker image mentioned somewhere in my YAML file, and then that the Docker image can then be pulled from the registry, and then it can spin up a beautiful pod right here, either through a distribution, a deployment as a deployment, or as a stateful set. So that depends on whether you want it to be stateful, or if you want to have a deployment. Usually with deployment, you're more able to scale. You can scale up and use a lot of instances. While when you have the stateful set, that could maybe you only want to have one instance that accesses some data, and you don't want race conditions to access your database or something like that. That is when you would use the stateful set. But stateful set and deployments, they are kind of the same, except for when you're creating a deployment, then you cannot define a persistent volume claim at the same time. While you can exactly do that with the stateful set, you can create also a persistent volume claim inside your YAML file. But that's not what I'm going to talk about in this video. I just want to say that you can use this Jfrog. Of course, the other options. I might make other videos about the other options, but right now I just use the Jfrog free tier, and then I can push up my Docker image right here, and then I can pull it right here, and then I can get a pod and which is made from a deployment. So this is my deployment right here. And then of course I have an ingress rule, so I can access the pods through a service in my Kubernetes cluster. But this is a bit Kubernetes specific, and I will not focus on that today. I want to focus on how do we actually get this, how do we get access to this Jfrog Docker registry. That is what this video about. Now, let us just jump right into it. First of all, it's very easy to get started. I could just log in with my Google account, and then I could sign up with my Google account, and then I got this screen right here. You can see I've already uploaded one image, and that is exactly what I'm going to show you. How can I upload this one image to Kubernetes cluster? The way that it verifies, the way that my cluster verifies through Jfrog is actually with a secret. So we need to create a secret. So we need to make a secret, and that secret will actually contain what you usually have in your docker.config file. So if you have a local .config file where you have access to the Jfrog repository because you made a Docker login and then the Jfrog URL, then you can actually take the content of that .config file, and then you can create a Kubernetes secret from that needs to be in the same namespace for where you want to install your deployment or stateful set. And that is exactly what I'm going to show you now, step by step. First of all, we need to get that .config file. We need to log into the Jfrog repository. Yes, they say that I have this free repository now, but how do we do that? It is so easy with Jfrog. That's one of the things that I really like about Jfrog. I can press this one right here, set me up. I just press my own account in the top corner, and then I can press set me up like this, and then I can choose what kind of repository I have. Right now I have Docker. As you can see, there's also support for a lot of other repositories. That's also why I like Jfrog, because if I want to expand to other repositories like Maven, which is quite normal if you're in the Java world, and also, of course, you can also with the npm packages, if you like JavaScript, then you just, of course, expand with that. Right here, here we get the commands. Okay, just write Docker login, and then the URL. And another thing, I could actually choose my own subdomain. I really like that. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit right here. So right now I have a subdomain code investigator, just because that's what I call my website, and yeah. I just have this subdomain right here. So Docker login, and then codeinvestigator.jfrog.io. I think it's really awesome that I get my own subdomain. Then after that, it will actually ask for an API key. First of all, it will actually ask for a username. Then you need to give this username right here, and then you need to paste in the API key that you can copy. If I press this button right here, then I would copy the API key to the clipboard, and then I would just give that. And that just worked as a charm. There was no problems in that. So you go to a terminal, you write Docker login, and then you write codeinvestigator.jfrog.io. Of course, you use your own URL instead, and then you type in your username and then the API key, and then you get access to this registry right here. And then they also say how we should. Then how should I deploy my Docker image? I made this cool Docker image where I have a cool website on. So now how would I do that? You can do that by taking the existing image that you already have, Docker tag, and then you can just name it like this. You need the first part of the name in a Docker image. That is actually where you want it to be located. That is the name of the registry. So that means that if you do not have any registry, then you would just leave this one out, and then you would have something on your local machine. This is the folder. This is the name of your virtual repository. This is the name of the repository that you have on Jfrog. You can create more than one. You can create multiple repositories. That's why we need this part right here. Default Docker local. As you can see right here, I did not change the name. That was just what popped up when I wanted my Docker registry. And then here we have the this is a Docker repository. Why does it say that right there? Of course, yeah, okay, so that is the image. So here you would actually give the image name, and then you would have a tag in the end. And I've done this. I did this actually, instead of using the tag, I actually when I build my Docker image, when you write Docker build, then you can actually write -t for tag, and then you can give this exact same image. You can give this the exact same structure, the same syntax right here for your Docker image, and then you can push that afterwards. You can see here, push, and then and then you push this. I think it should have said Docker image right here. I think this is a bit wrong. This image right here, that you should have a name, Docker image name right here. I don't know why it says Docker repository right there. It's a bit wrong, I think. And then you have a tag. The tag could just be latest. I'm just using it as an intermediate storage. That means that I will always name I will always tag my applications as latest. That means that then I will just overwrite the one that is actually up there. You can also set up the overwrite rules for how many versions do you want to keep on your registry, inside your repository, and you should keep that low because you only have 2 gigabytes. So if you want to use it like I do as an intermediate storage, just for actually transporting your image to your Kubernetes cluster, then just keep it very, very low. Keep it to as few as possible, because you can always build your Docker image again if you're using Git for your code at least, and you should, or some other source control management system like Mercurial, for instance, is also good. Okay, but that's how we do it, and as you can see right here, I actually already have one right here, and they also scan it. That's also quite nice. They have this plugin XRay that actually scans the Docker image for some stuff, for vulnerabilities, and they actually found something right here critical. There's actually something right here that's probably because it is too old. Let us just look at the security right here. It actually found some. It found some stuff right there. I'll try to focus a bit, so we will not look at that. That is because there are some Debian errors that could. That's probably because I'm not using the latest and greatest image. But it's good that this plugin right here actually tells us which. It tells us about the problem that are actually right there, and then we can also read about the vulnerabilities and see if that's something that applies to our situation. So that's actually it. We have this build right here, and it's just latest. So, and you can also see that it takes up 55 megabyte right now. And I'll show you why it does not take, and it's only been downloaded twice from the registry, from the Kubernetes cluster, sorry. So that's actually how easy it is. Now let us look a bit at the scripts. First of all, I had to make a Dockerfile, so I had something to place up there actually. So I have to create a Dockerfile, and this is my Dockerfile. I'll show you how complex it actually is. It's not very complex. It just has one line, and that means from Nginx latest. So it means that it downloads the Nginx latest, and then I'm actually just renaming that and giving that its own tag name. In this situation, you have the Jfrog in front, and then Mike's web and then latest as the tag name. And then we have a way to create the secrets, because that's the first part. The first part is that you can connect to Jfrog yourself, and you can actually push an image. So that means that if I am building this image right here, let us just change this build line right here. Builds. Here you can actually see this is my build syntax right here. Docker build -t, and then the syntax we saw before, Mike's web. Now let us name this instead of latest. Let us tag it with latest 2 instead. And then you can see this dot in the end. That is the location of the Dockerfile that it uses to build, and that is right here. So now let us just build the image right here, and it was very fast because there was only one line, and it just takes Nginx version, and then it retags it to to my name. So, and then we can see Docker images. They're right here, and here I can see that here I have this new instance right here. That means that if I push this Docker push and then latest 2, then it will actually push it to the Jfrog repository if everything works as it should, and it works. So this is step 1. Create a Docker login. So that's because I already made that Docker login that you saw before, and blah 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 blah. And then you need to paste your API key, and then you need to be able to push an image like I just did right there. Now let us see if we can see the new image that I push. So let me just refresh this page right here. Mike's web. I have latest. I should actually see another version. Latest 2. Maybe it's because it knows it's exactly the same. It should be visible in packages. Downloads. Versions. I would say that it should be a latest 2 here also. I hope it will show up soon, but it should be able to see that I have another tag right here. Let us ignore it to begin with. Oh, here it is. Now came there. That was just a bit of delay. Now it's there. Look, now I have the latest 2 right there. It is probably because it needs to be scanned by that XRay before it. It's because it was scanned by XRay before it actually releases it on the overview right here. So now I have latest 2 also right there. So that was the first step. So now the second step is to create a secret inside your Kubernetes cluster. And it's very, very easy when you know how to do it. As usual, let me just find. I'll just find it. I have it somewhere. Here it is. Here it is. Creating a secret with a Docker config. And that is what I did. I used my Docker config file right here. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Create a secret. Here it is. So you write kubectl create secret, and then you can give any name right here. Then we need to write the Docker registry. That is the type of the secret. Then you need to give it a name right there. And the name, it does not matter. What matters is that you have set that you're setting your. Okay, this is if you want to use the password. We do not want to do that. But if you have a Docker password and if you also have a Docker username, then you can actually set it up like that. And the password would be your API key in that situation right there. You can do that, but what I did was to use the file. I'll just zoom out and get a bit so I can find the create from file with a Docker config. This is boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. I'll just go up a bit. Because you can actually create from the config.json file. Yeah. So where is it? kubectl create secret. There must be okay. I would like to create with I created with a file actually. That's what I did. I created from a file. So I had a file like this. You get a file like this in your home folder inside your .docker folder, and then you can create a secret from that. Luckily, I saved the command. It is also in the documentation. That's where I found it. But let me just create K8 secrets. Yeah, that is. So this is the syntax. kubectl create secret generic, and then I named it the Docker registry. You can name it whatever you want to name it. What is important is that you have your file, and from file Docker config JSON. That is the key. This is the key inside your secret. So this will be the key in the secret, and the content of your secret will be this file right here. So that means you need to have your .json file, which is inside your in your home folder .docker. There you will have your JSON file, and I've just renamed it to text and extracted it so it's in my folder right here. But usually it will be in your home folder instead. And that is because, and then you have the type. This is important also. You need to have this type on because this is actually what will make your cluster know that this is a Docker secret that you need to use. So the type is important. Kubernetes.io, Docker config JSON, and then whenever you have created this secret right here, and let me just show you my cluster right here. the secret needs to be in the same namespace as where you intend to deploy your web applications. So I have created this namespace right here named web. And here I can just get my secrets, and as you can see right now, I'm using some shortage. I'm using some abbreviation right here. KG stands for kubectl, gets, and SEC stands for secret. So this is because I'm using OMyCTL and the plugin named kubectl or Kubernetes. Then we have my secret right here, which is the Docker registry, and you can see here's the type Docker config JSON, and this is why that my whenever I have a deployment like I have right here. I have a deployment named Mike's Web right here, which we can see. I'll just get deployment -o for YAML, that's output, and then name Mike's Web right here. So this is my deployment right here. Available replicas, one, that's enough. Then I have some containers right here. You can see here's the image, Mike's Web latest right there. And then there's one thing that you might want to add, image pull policy always. That means that you will always try to pull the latest, and that is especially important if you have the latest. If you're using the latest tag, then I would also recommend that you have this image pull policy always right here. That means every time you are trying to apply this deployment right here, then the Kubernetes cluster will pull the image to the local cluster first. And then we have some boring stuff that doesn't matter, replicas. We have a name somewhere also. So we have the kind deployment, you can see right there, that is the version. Then we have some other revisions, that is just so you can see which values that we used earlier on. It's just some metadata, it does not matter. Here we have something that matters. We have the name, which is Mike's Web, and then we have the namespace web right there. And let us see, we should also have a service somewhere. Actually, that's also a bit, I have that in another one. I have that as a service right here. So I've created the service right here. Remember, when you have a service, you should have a cluster IP. But of course, there are different types of services. But usually, you would have a cluster IP, and then you would also have an endpoint. So that means that if you describe your service, then you should also get an endpoint like this. So this is the if you don't have an endpoint, that means that there were no pods that actually were selected as targets for this service right here. Now just get the pods right here. So here we have Mike's Web that is running right there, and that means that if I go inside this pod right here, then exec -it, and then this pod right here, and then we can curl localhost 8080. Let's see what happens. There was nothing there. So SSH. Oh, SSH or just shell. I just wanted a shell. That's what I wanted. SSH is for secure socket connections. So here we have, and I say curl's not there. What? Yeah, curl's there. Localhost 8080. Connection refused. Okay. But there should be an Nginx running right there. Is it because it uses another port? Curl localhost port 80. Yeah, it just used port 80. That's why. It's because I'm used to Spring Boot applications. They always start on 8080 as per default. But this is my Nginx page right here. And as you can see, I did not change the default page. Of course, I could have changed this index HTML, so it says something like "Welcome to Mike's Web" or something like that. But now I have it running up in the clouds. I have this image pushed from my local machine. As you saw, I pushed it, and then it could actually start it up in my cluster. So I'll just exit this. You probably want to know about the YAML files for Kubernetes. That is a little bit, it is a bit complex, and I think I just wanted to keep the focus on the transport from your local machine to a register like Jfrog. And of course, if you have another Docker register that is cheaper or more or better, then just leave that as a comment in the comments to this video right here. I have this deployment right here if you want to see that. That is my deployment file. And as you can see right here, actually in my deployment file, I've actually added a service in the bottom. So I both have the deployment part, which is, you can see it's a bit cleaner when it has not been used first in a cluster. That means that then you get all of that weird metadata that will be automatically created by the cluster. I have a name and a namespace right there, and how many replicas I expect to start up. Only one in this situation right here. And then I have a label right here. The label is important because then you can create a service that selects all of the pods that has this label that we have right here. And it's actually right here, template metadata labels. This is where the label will actually be set, and this deployment will then contain all of the pods that has this label right here. And of course, in the service, the label has to be the same, or else you will not have a service that can be contacted by either an ingress rule or by other services internally in the cluster. And here we have the interesting part with the here we have container name Mike's Web. That you can also you saw before that my pod actually started with the name Mike's Web. That's because I have this name right here. If I set this to something else, then the name of my pod will actually be something different. Containers is equal to pods in the situation right here. And then I have my image. This is my Docker image that I point to. So if I wanted to use Docker as the latest true, then I would just change this to true instead. And then I could use kubectl, apply this file right here, and then that would actually be it. Image pull secrets. This is important also. This tells Kubernetes how it should authenticate against this registry right here. So you need this image pull secret, and unfortunately you have to create this secret per namespace. You cannot create a generic one. If you know how to create a generic one along with DigitalOcean's Kubernetes cluster, please let me know. Right now, I have to at least to create this secret per namespace. Yeah. Of course, it's not difficult to create a secret. It's just copy paste. Create the secret on another namespace. Also, it's no problem. It was just I think it could just be nicer to have a cluster-wide secret instead. Just be a bit easier. And that's actually what I wanted to show you. Of course, when you debug, just some good tips and tricks. If you create your own Docker image, of course you want to run your image before you push it. You want to make sure that you can actually run your image locally. Run image like this, and you can do that by using Docker run, of course, IT for interactive with the terminal, mapping out the port 9070 to port 80 inside, and then you name your image right here. So now let us see if it is up and running. It should be. I'll just take another terminal, and then I will say call localhost port 9070 because that is what we posted out. And I can see that that is my index file from the Nginx. So I'm happy my Nginx web proxy is actually working. My web server is working. I'm actually happy. I know it was very complex, and it also went a bit fast. Let me know if it made sense or if it did not make sense. Kubernetes and Docker interactions it is a bit complex. As you saw right here, this beautiful drawing right here, it became complex very fast because as soon as I started drawing the service also, and the pod and the deployment and the ingress, I did not make the ingress rule on my own cluster actually. It's just if whenever you want to reach something from the outside, then you always create an ingress rule. And I could definitely recommend you to see my other video about Let's Encrypt and ingress. It will just help you a lot. Then you will always have a certificate for your server, whichever subdomain you make up. So this is how to use Jfrog. And as you can see right here, please, if you go above 2 GB of storage, or if you transfer too much data per month, then you will be blessed with this bill right here. $98 first. That's the first step. Pro team, and then have enterprise one right here. That's cost $700. I think it's very expensive. I would like to have some something in between, right? But that's how it is, I guess. And another option, which I did not show you actually, but another option is to set up your own Docker registry. The problem there is security. But there are actually on Docker Hub, there are actually some cool images right there. If you go to hubdocker.com, then you could actually search for a registry like this. And then you can actually see here there is a Docker 2 implementation of the registry. It has been downloaded 1 billion times, so it is quite popular. And then, of course, you could set up your own registry. The reason why I use Jfrog is just because it was so easy, and they had some very good documentation on how actually to get started. The principle is exactly the same whether you set up your own registry inside your cluster. Of course, there's a little bit more tweaking, and you need to set it up inside your cluster, and you have to make sure that it can be reached from the outside on port 5000. And it is and of course you need to create an ingress rules for that. Then there's something with security. I did not figure out actually how to apply security to this registry right here. Maybe I'll not make another video when I figure that one out. But right now I'm happy with Jfrog. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you again very soon. Have a great evening. Bye bye.